Alright, ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to our first LoL battle, and this is gonna be great today. I am here with my co-caster Nero Integrate, or let's say he is the main caster because I'm just here for the host role today. So Nero, how are you feeling today?
I'm fine. I can't wait for the battles. Actually, we were supposed to start an hour earlier, but it was already put back to 5 p.m. right now. So I'm ready. I'm more than ready for more than an hour, and I just can't wait to see the games. I've been talking to a couple of players, and well, I have my expectations about this tournament. But of course, the games are going to show us everything. There's 500 euros for the first place and 5,000 RP for the runner-up, which is for the second place of this tournament. And also we have a best of three final, which we've never done actually online, so that's gonna be a nice thing to see. I don't think so. I don't think we had a best of three, but yeah, it's changed to best of one. Oh man.
Exactly. As I'm informed, we're going with the standard GSL format that you already know from the group stages of our bigger tournaments, like the League of Legends Legend Series. So this is going to be best of one all day through. But nonetheless, you said you have high expectations for the games, and you also have your opinion on the team. So please tell me, what is your opinion? Which team is your favorite, and who do you expect to win here?
It's hard to call a favorite right off the bat, but there definitely are some teams with like higher divisions on some players and lower ones. And you're just looking at the stats of the qualifier matches, because we had 4 qualifiers. Each team comes from a different one, and like some were very bloody, somewhere, and it just already kind of shows you the level of the game and kind of shows you what kind of an approach the teams are going to have. For instance, Team NoNames, they were even called differently in the qualifiers. They played on different positions. The captain told me that they had some roster changes and they just put the team together for this tournament alone. So it already shows you that maybe the names like GameplayDNA or Wonderstags, which are organizations, might have a better shot.
Yeah, I think so too. Even though NoNames might not be out of this yet, there's still the underdog role for them to take, and they might surprise us here. But I also agree on GameplayDNA and Wonderstag as probably the best two teams in our first LoL battles. GameplayDNA also, they had been here last weekend in our Counter-Strike Legend series, so they're also good in other games and just a growing organization with their base in the Ukraine, if I remember that correctly. But this team right here is a Lithuanian team.
Okay, yeah, the Counter-Strike team also was Lithuanian. I'm not sure about the base, the building that the organization
had. Yeah, then I mix
it
up. Then they probably are Lithuanian all the way through.
Okay, well, anyway, talking about the grand finals, a little bit of a letdown for me, since I read somewhere that it's going to be a best of 3, but yeah, best of 1 after all, and that still is going to be quite interesting. I mean, you have to give it your best for just this one map. There's not going to be a point in like preparing some different tactics, different approaches, and you're just going to have to give your best out there. Really wondering who's going to find themselves right there. Just talking about the names, it should be GameplayDNA and Wonderstag, but I don't think that it's going to go that way. For instance, if it's really going to stay that the same way for Wonderstag, they're not changing the players. One of their players isn't even Diamond, their top laner. But then on the other hand, he had some very good statistics in the qualifiers, so pretty unsure how to judge them. Also, take a look at another qualifier. I know that a team that ranks up quite well on the Polish standings already lost out in the first match against the loser of the final of that qualifier. So there was an even stronger team out there, and we really had some competition in the qualifiers already. Now putting it in the finals, hopefully it's going to be even better.
Yeah, thanks for that insight. What do you think about the champions that we might see? As you're our expert for League of Legends, we have seen a lot of League of Legends. Currently we had our Legend Series finals just 2 weeks ago. And since then, do you think that anything changed in terms of the meta or in terms of the favorite champions for the teams?
Not so much, but definitely we could see a tiny bit of changes. And also, like on the finals, we already had the pro draft, but during the qualifiers for our LAN finals 2 weeks ago, We only had 3 bans, so that might change a little bit in terms of what the picks and bans will look like. Yeah, also some of the more recent changes I definitely still like to see surfacing in the game, because on the LAN we did not really see the newer items. Like, people are just afraid. They had not tested it out so much, so they thought it was not going to be safe to go for these aggressive champions in the bottom lane, so they just decided to fall back to the tankier supports. So wondering if it's actually going to be the same approach from these guys. Are they going to be afraid to use the newer changes and just fall back to the little bit older meta, or are they going to go with the flow?
Yeah, in terms of champions speaking, is there something that strikes out to you, like champions that have to be banned probably? As you already mentioned, we're going for a 5-ban system here, so probably most of the popular champions will be banned and not played instead.
Maybe there will be some targeted bans, because there are some statistics on the qualifiers actually. So in the League of Legends LAN finals, we had some players saying that they don't even know so much about their foes in the finals overall. So I'm guessing that they didn't know anything about who they were matching up in the qualifiers. Right here, it could be even worse. There could be completely no research material, although Wonder Stag and Horizon Reapers have the same flag right here, so they probably know each other from like solo queue or whatever, so there might be a little bit of info between them. But yeah, luckily, as I said, we have some qualifier matches. There might be targeted bans, might not also. But as always, just Zag stays up there among the top bans, and probably it's all going to be about cornering the enemy into playing something that he's uncomfortable with, rather than something that we'll have to just ban right out.
Yeah, thanks for that insight again, and let me quickly address something to the viewers out there, because what are the LoL battles about? You might not know about our LoL battles, as this is the first tournament ever that we are hosting. So the LoL battles are like our smaller League of Legends tournament, where we want to get everybody involved, because we have 2 online qualifiers every month. And then there's the grand final, which is our LoL battle today, where the qualified teams out of these 2 qualifiers will face off each other and then battle it out for a prize pool of 500 euros and a lot of riot points, as Nero already mentioned. And you can also participate, so if you and your 4 buddies are into some tournament gameplay, definitely check out the LoL battles or any other battles, because I think we are about to do this in other games as well. But ELC Gaming, we definitely want to get hosting a lot of tournaments, also online and offline. So in addition to the Legend Series and the Esports Superstars, also something for everybody to participate the battles.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's always worth it to go over to elcgaming.com and check out if we don't have something new coming, or on Facebook or on Twitter, because I also saw like the banners and stuff before it actually happened. So you can always maybe grab a little bit of prize money in here if you're good enough to face off against different teams among the like Diamond and Master rankings, but you're not quite yet good enough to take part in some Challenger Series qualifiers, or if your country does not have like a set league, because as I was talking about it in the qualifiers for a LAN and on the LAN finals, like a lot of local scenes are growing and creating their national leagues and stuff like that, but some of the others still don't have it. And even though in Poland actually the league started growing, we still have players just emigrating to Turkey or Russia or hell, even Brazil in the history of Polish League of Legends. So that hurts the scene a little bit, and maybe seeing more of these online tournaments where you can grab some money are going to make the domestic scenes like stay inside of each other and just grow like that.
Yeah, I hope so, because I have the feeling like that you have a big esport competition in terms of all the big teams that you always see running around, like Fnatic and all the Korean teams, and you see them all the time. You have the LCS and stuff like that, but the fundamental play where just people compete and take part in esports themselves, I feel like there's a lot lacking for League of Legends. In other esports like Hearthstone or Counter-Strike, this is a bit more established, and yeah, that's why we're hosting the LoL battles. That's what we're doing and that we're hoping in. Yeah, so much about that. But let's get talking about our first game today, as both teams might be ready in a couple of minutes. Team NoNames against GameplayDNA. We already pointed it out. GameplayDNA probably the favorites in here. Team NoNames. They don't have any names, and we don't have any clue what they can do. So they're gonna be a definite surprise. But Nero, some more insight on that game. How do you think could it work out? We have seen in the Legend series, we have seen some underdogs going for aggressive play style. Do you expect something like that from Team NoNames? They at least made it out of the qualifiers.
Yeah, there might be a possibility to just try and catch the enemies off guard, but then you have to be really careful, because we had some teams in the qualifiers for our Legend series where they would be invading every single game, and mostly to the same area of the map, so that became quite readable, and some teams knew how to counter that very easily, and some even abused that completely. So there comes also a question: even if they are going to be aggressive, are they going to show it from the first match, or are they just going to be testing the waters, and then if they fall down to the losers brackets, they're going to like give their best, the max of their strength, or whatever. So yeah, there's also a matter of like conservation of power in there. And yeah, as I mentioned, like Team NoNames, they were juggling players between the qualifiers and now, but their captain Banderas, he seems like he knows what he's doing, and I have some faith in them. Although yeah, GameplayDNA, they should be the ones that will be less flustered maybe by the entire situation, that will not be swayed, and will have some experience in here.
Yeah, definitely possible. But also in terms of, you were saying like Team NoNames, are they gonna show their aggressive playstyle from the start on, if they even go for that? That's the point you were talking about before, information and how much information you conceal. Because right now, none of these teams really know anything about their opponents. So I feel like the first game is the game where you should really go all out, show what you have, do the best that you can, and then in the next game you can think about changes, or even just going in the same way. Because just by one game you can't really tell if that's their original playstyle that they play every game, or if that was just a thing they were pulling out right here.
Yeah,
so that's definitely going to be interesting.
As you say, and just looking at the qualifying match for GameplayDNA, from the statistics, it simply seems that they were struggling a little bit in the bottom lane. So maybe that's going to be the focus point for Team NoNames in here. Maybe that's where they can strike. The team that they faced off against seems like it was not so balanced in terms of the divisions, because they had some platinum players, and even from lower platinum rankings, and also some master players. And these masters have not done so well, while the bottom lane consisting of platinums has done very well, very fine. So yeah, that's a thing. That also, even if there are no visible exploits in the lineup of GameplayDNA, maybe if you know where to poke, it's gonna be much easier to just break them completely.
Yeah, that is what we're about to see. So that's the insight for our first game today, talking about Wonder Stag and Horizon Reapers. This is going to be match 2, coming up at about 6 p.m. Any opinions on that, Nero?
So as we mentioned, like Wonder Stag and GameplayDNA, pretty much the guys that have the names. But Wonder Stag, they seem like they're the team where you don't have such skilled individual players. So that is also going to be a nice test, whether like team play and how long you've been together as a team, experience, is as useful as potentially the individual skill that maybe Horizon Reapers will have on a higher overall level than Wonder Stag. And in my opinion, that's going to be an extremely interesting matchup. But then we have that question mark in the form of NoNames in the first match, so both of them could bring us surprises. And yeah, we in theory have some of our favorites in here, but it definitely does not have to turn out that way, the way we think, right?
Yeah, definitely. Also talking about the local scenes, you always mention the Polish scenes as you're from Poland. Do you have any insight on the Hungarian scene and the players maybe from Norway and Lithuania?
No, unfortunately, not really. I mean, a little bit maybe about Lithuania, as usually the wild card with the Russians and the Lithuanian teams were along the lines with each other. But I haven't heard so much about the Hungarian one or the Nordic scenes. I've casted some of the matches in the past, but that's been like 4 years ago. But it's really hard to put insight into any local scenes that you're not from. So, as you, Marvin, might know a little bit about the German scene, I might know a little bit about the Polish scene. Like, going deeper into the others is really hard, except for, like, as I already mentioned, Turkey or Brazil or Russia, because these ones
Yeah.
are a little bit more popular. They have their leagues that are broadcasted, that everybody can actually watch without doing so much research, because it's always at hand. And yeah, some of the better players from domestic scenes actually decide to go there because they can get some more success out there, or even some players from like NA or Europe. It's also not so rare that they decide to go to some lower levels of League of Legends to maybe try to qualify with the wild card to the World Championships a little easier. But yeah, that's the wild card. So basically, everybody's put in the same pot, and you don't really individualize these local nationalities, so to speak, so much.
Yeah, definitely. The thing why I'm asking is that Wonderstack and Horizon Reapers are both from Hungary, and I, to be honest, don't know anything about the Hungarian LoL scene. So I was just wondering if you might have any insight on that. But yeah, it's quite impressive that two teams from the same country made it out of the qualifiers, as there are so many mixed countries in these online qualifiers. You can even participate from China if you wanted to. And yeah, so that's the reason why I asked.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I mean, in Counter-Strike overall, Hungary has not had so much international success, but they had some individual teams that were really good on their level, and they were able to even dominate tier 2 for quite a bit of time. So yeah, that's the right point, that two of the Hungarian teams showed up right here. There's a possibility that we'll see a lot of potential in them too for the future, but for now, not much to be said about them. Probably that we'll have some of the fans popping up in the chat, and then maybe they will provide us with a little bit of like personal info about the players. Maybe some of them are streamers or whatnot. But at the moment, it's really hard to get any like more valuable info on them, because anything on the surface that's easy to see, maybe we can know the names of the positions that the players like, and maybe the champions that they used in the qualifiers. But anything other than that is a little bit beyond our reach.
Yeah, but talking about the scene maybe coming up and growing a little bit, this might be a sign of a growing scene, as two Hungarian teams making it through all the way. There might still something be coming from the Hungarian League of Legends scene, maybe even on the bigger European scale. That remains to be seen, but something like the LoL battles and maybe then an invite for the Legend series, that can get you kickstarted. But yeah, I'm totally pumped. It's gonna be a great day of League of Legends.
Yeah, just taking a look at like trying to look up GameplayDNA on the spot right here. Some even completely different nicknames show up on ESL and stuff like that. So yeah, they might have changed their lineup recently also, or maybe not even recently, because these are names from half a year ago. So it's not even so fresh. But yeah, that's the thing. Like, you cannot really find any most recent info on these teams so easily.
Yeah, GameplayDNA, they seem to have received a little makeover just recently, as also if you look at the logo, that was just released last week. So GameplayDNA, they're definitely attacking right now. But let's quickly jump into the picks and bans, as both teams seem to be ready. Team NoNames and GameplayDNA are game number 1 today coming up, and we see quick bans happening here. Yasu banned Oriana, Jace and Kassadin already out of the game, and there's the Zac ban you were talking about.
Yeah, definitely there's going to be a little bit of focus on the middle lane. as you usually either want your enemy to pick Syndra to try and shut her down, or try to opt against it, or you want to ban out the enemy mid laners so that you can play a safe Syndra, stuff like that. Of course, Orianna's in the mix right there, and lately, like, Kassadin started surfacing, or maybe he's so much easier to like execute on a little bit lower level of play, because we had some teams picking Kassadin in the qualifiers for our Legend series, but then on LAN, some other players were saying Kassadin's so easy to shut down, so there's no point in actually picking him. So that's the approach that GameplayDNA might be thinking of. Like, you've got some Diamond 1 or Master players, so these guys might even be one-trick ponies. If there's a good Kassadin player in the middle lane, he'll be too hard to deal with. Same pretty much goes for LeBlanc. Well, usually you'd try to opt for a little bit safer, for more overall picks, so to speak, rather than just focused on one aspect of the game. But yeah, picks and bans going real quickly because they're actually done pre-game by the teams talking to each other. And here we go. That's going to be Caitlyn, Elise, and Braum, picked by Team NoNames. So they are going for the old meta, rather tankier supports. Then the maybe not even Sona, but most probably Ajana, Karma. These guys that can use the Ardent sensor efficiently, and possibly also the newest Zeke's Herald. But that's what we're seeing. So Thresh and Braum in here, and Nunu actually picked it to the jungle, I believe. But I also saw some Nunu bans in the qualifiers, which is an interesting thing. And it was actually banned by GameplayDNA themselves, so they're going to actually want to play him now.
Yeah, so Katarina, Renekton here for Team NoNames. To be honest, I really like the composition that they got together here. Also, I love to see that Braum coming up. Haven't seen that in a while. For GameplayDNA, they're going for Thresh Lucian combi on the bot lane.
A little bit more of Lucian lately popping up in at least these qualifiers that we're seeing right here. But yeah, like Jhin completely starting to disappear. Some different champions coming into the liking of the players. For instance, Tristana has been picked quite a couple of times recently. Lucian's starting to get picked up earlier on in the middle lane, now even in the bot lane again. And yeah, just wondering how they will use that Nunu efficiently. Lucian might still lack a little bit in the zones where the other AD carries excess. So maybe that's going to be a good enough steroid for him to just get him going out there. And of course, Riven in the front line, that could be scary if it's not shut down by Renekton completely. Because usually what Renekton likes to do is he likes to have some early aggression. He likes to get an early gank from his jungler. You have to, when you're picking a Renekton, you're signalizing that you're going to do a little bit in the top lane. But that's not always what the teams that are not so much on the professional level do. So I'm wondering what we're going to see right here in Team NoNames. But definitely going for a Katarina. I just mentioned the pocket picks. I just mentioned the like one-trick pony Kassadin players, the LeBlanc players. Katarina might very well be that same kind of champion. So wondering how Victor is going to do against her, because if you don't shut down the Katarina, it's going to be real hard to deal with her a little bit later, although teams in such a level should know how to shut her down. You've got a Thresh, you can displace her with 2 different abilities. You've got a Riven that's also going to have the knockup and the stun, so it should be just fine. But then on the other hand, if Victor is not going through so much struggle in the earlier stages of the game, then he's gonna do perfectly fine. In the team fights, he's gonna provide such a wide range of abilities to his team rather than just pure damage. For now, the beginning of the game just very peaceful. Nobody grouping up anywhere. Nobody going for any cheesy strats. So yeah, you've got to keep in mind that all of these matches are best of 1, and pretty much only the first place gets the prize money. And then we decided that also the second place is going to get the RP. 5,000 RP is also quite a bit, but then on the other hand, you have to divide it by 5 people, and after all, you're not going to be as happy as for the cash prize, of course. But that's the thing. Best of 1s, you lose 2 of them, you're out of the competition, and it could be real tough on some teams that have to spend a little bit of time to get going. But that's just how it is. That's just how brutal these weekly or minor tournaments are. usually best of one all the way up through the grand finals. And right here, we went through the qualifiers to actually go straight into these finals of the LoL battles. But in some other tournaments, you don't have the qualifiers. You just have a big bracket, and you have like 200 or 100 teams pulled together and then playing against each other. So either A, you can be extremely unlucky and face off against a very good team right off the bat, or B, you just lose one single best of one and you're out of the whole thing. Even if you are a very good team, but you just need a little bit of time to get used to and stuff like that. So for now, we don't see any bigger aggression still, so no lanes creating a lot of pressure, maybe except for the middle lane. Their leader tries to put the pressure on the Victor on the other side, but that's not really working out as well as he might think. He still lost a lot of HP himself, and as I mentioned, like, it's going to be extremely important for the Katarina to get herself going. It's going to be very important for the Renekton in the top lane to probably get a little bit of help. I don't really know what kind of an execution right here of a tactic they're gonna go for, but that's usually what you'd see on the highest level. But for now, everybody just rejoices, farming, and at least with maybe a tiny bit of an encounter with the Nunu in the jungle, just exchanging vision, exchanging wards in the bottom river. But that's the thing, they're both in the bottom sides of their jungle, and doesn't seem like we are preparing for any ganks. Like, leaders come back to the base, Victor's a little bit pushed into his own tower, so no chance for Elise to show up right there. In the bottom lane, I don't really think that there's a lot of potential. Maybe from the other side, actually. If Pulse gets a good hook, that could be an opportunity. And talking about Pulse, I already mentioned the Sona, and maybe she shouldn't be as popular as the other aggressive supports. The ones that can dish out damage, that can scale into the late game a little bit possibly, and after getting their starting support items and providing the vision for the team, they can also build the AP and commit to the team fights. But yeah, Pulse has shown us the Sona, and maybe there's a little potential in that for maybe later in the game to try and surprise, to try and win out the bottom lane. But as I already also mentioned, GameplayDNA on that game, they weren't doing so well on the bottom lane. Caitlyn with a 4-4-4, pretty neutral stats right there, and of course, the further you are into a victorious for yourself a game, you're gonna grab all these assists and maybe a kill on them by occasion because the rest of your team is providing them. Sona with 0-6-10. I don't know why, but I feel like there's a possibility they just completely lost out in the early and then just tried to scrape themselves together later on in the game. But there we are. A little bit of a push in the bottom lane, a gank in the top lane, though very unsuccessful because Renekton just used Slice and Dice to get away from there. In the middle lane, I already mentioned that there's some pressure trying to be created by leader on his Katarina, but Domus is dealing very well with it. And talking about possibly the most important players for both the teams, is gonna be Domus. Just judging by the pure stats on paper, it's gonna be Domus on Team NoNames, where he's got a master apparently on his solo queue rankings. So that looks quite good. While on the other side, in the middle lane, on that Katarina, we've got leader, and unfortunately, as I mentioned, since they had so many changes in their lineup, there's not much info that I can get on him. I might try to look it up in a second though. But yeah, seems like Domus will know how to deal with that cat, and maybe it's not the best choice to actually go for it so quickly. First blood is actually going to be taken by her in the middle lane. Go up in the middle lane and help out, but level 6 kicks in, and unfortunately there's no way for Victor to even deal with that, even with the sauce used up in the process. So I'm quite surprised. Of course, the cleanse got popped in. No need to use the flash, plus with the Nunu being a little bit late on that cat. That was very, very efficiently. The top lane also post lane from River does hit the Renekton. That's all stepping back a tiny bit in HP, but yeah, with the Call the Meek, you can see how quickly he's regaining that HP. So not much of a problem. So a bit of pressure. Every single time you can see the fight go show to the top lane, middle lane, way too late. Pressure in the bottom lane. At least he's forced out the heal and the flash. So much in here. So Michael down to half HP, and he's staying in the top lane, which is yes, but it's not gonna be good since the league goes. Let's get that. The 2-0 in favor of team NoNames. Surely they are the ones showing up to be the better team in the early game at least, but that's also the thing. A lot of the time when there's an underdog facing off against a team that's supposed to be the favorite, the early game is their domain. It's where they can actually roll over their enemies, maybe by an element of surprise. Maybe just because they prepared into it so much that they know how to read all the movements and stuff. For instance, like the fighter, he's always late in the ganks, but overall, the question is what hold up to the mid game and then into the late game, if it ever comes to the late game, because I also remember from the qualifiers to the Legend Series, very rarely had evened out games. Most of them were stomps. So right here, as Team NoNames are starting to get these 2 kills right here, a little bit of push there, maybe a little bit. Now the bottom lane, Joker falling down. Finally comes that from they had a lot of an upper hand in there, but somehow it all turned around, of course, with an amazing Glacial Fissure. And maybe Thresh a little bit helpless, and maybe not, because might be but so not only to throw out your skills that way, but taken. So after this, help them to get, and also he's been able to force out the pressure here and there so they can get the Drake. Hit by the Ruthless Predator, luckily enough in the range of his own turret too, because he's that way able to defend himself from Banderas, but that Renekton is throwing, and he... Successful gang. They're starting to grow, but also Katarina is showing up playing that.
Alright guys, so we are having some technical difficulties here with Nero. As, yeah, his microphone, or better to say his connection, because he's here through Skype, is not really working. But I'm gonna take over now, and there is immediately action on the bot lane. And a double kill here for Elise. GameplayDNA so far a little bit down, so I'm sorry guys, I'm jumping into the middle of this game, but I'm gonna do the best to give you all the action to you at home. Starting off with that little clash here on the bot lane for me. Illusion still going for the push and all the damage on Mark News, but now he has to be careful. No for retreating for now. Still, overall, quite a good push here for GameplayDNA. But Mark News staying in the game. I'm wondering, we see Renekton facing up against Riven on the top lane. And Katarina going for that Nunu. Invading here in the opponent's jungle, but only clearing out the ward for now. But Elise is here to help as well. Red buff coming up, they could go for it. Elise targeting that, and Katarina going for the zone out here. Just to clear off some space, making it impossible for Nunu to come back. In the meanwhile, Dolmis has to be careful. Getting out with the flash. Mark News coming from the side, taking him down, and Nunu in the mid lane also in a big trouble here. A double kill for Katarina. A nice grab here from the bot lane. A great shift down up to the middle lane. And now the Rift Herald is targeted. In the meanwhile, the bot lane returning to their task. Oh, what a great shift here by Team NoNames, and they are leading. We cleared it out before. We said Team NoNames, they should be the underdog in this game. But so far, a gold lead of about 4k. And Katarina also grabbing the first turret in the mid lane. Oh, but a nice hook here coming down on Braum, but he's so tanky. You're not gonna take him down, especially not with the shield on. And Mark News taking a lot of damage here. He has to be careful flashing out, but the flashes come from both sides, and Mark News going for a nice kill. So trading both flashes for the AD carries of both teams, and then in the end able to secure the kill here for GameplayDNA. And that's a good one. You're down 3.5k in terms of gold, so you have to make something happen. And that's exactly what you got to do right here. A nice kill. Keeping GameplayDNA still in the game. Nunu still continuing to farm. Taking a look at the CS here. Renekton and Riven battling it out. There's not a big difference between these two. A slight lead for Renekton. Also a slight lead for Katarina in the mid lane. But on the other hand, and that's important, the AD carry for GameplayDNA, Lucian, Nofer, doing a great job. He's ahead 20 creeps. And we see the shift once again here from Axis. Going to the mid lane. Seeking for a way to make something happen, and Proxy has to be careful. All alone going up against two, but Pulser's not quite managing to get something done here. The engage about to happen in the jungle. But we get the feed from the top lane, also a little brawl going on. Victor coming in from the side. A nice shield put down here, but Nunu all alone. Nofer coming from the side, and now it's Victor who is divided by the team. Magnus going for the first kill here. Katarina coming in. Lighter is on a killing spree, secures another one, so another 2 kills going down to Team NoNames. And they can immediately go for the Infernal Drake here. That's an important one. And the Dragon also falling for Team NoNames. So we're back for a 5k gold lead exactly. 5,000 gold, but a nice hook here by Pulses. Ploxy going up in the air and also has the help of Lighter. And just like that, a good hook can turn into something really bad. Team NoNames grabbing another kill here, securing the outer turret on the bot lane for sure. But what about the inner turret? They're contesting it. Also Renekton from the top lane. Coming all the way down. The Rift Herald is spawned. And with that, they should be able to take it lighter. So much damage on him, and not quite able to escape. Also Banderas, he was pretty low, and it's a good trade. The turret falls and you just exchange your top laner for that, so you're gonna do that all day long. If we take a look at GameplayDNA right here, what could they do in order to get out of the misery? I feel like they should stay together, having a good team fight, making something happen by then. They lost all the objectives. The Rift Herald went in favor of Team NoNames. Also, the Infernal Drake fell into their hands. They're winning a team fight, or maybe grabbing something in the jungle, or better to say someone, but nice dodge here on the hook. Axis still doing a good job on that Braum. Clearing out the ward and not quite getting the second one. But yeah, it has to be a priority for GameplayDNA to stay together, not to give up any more kills, as the gold lead is heavily in favor for Team NoNames here. Riven going for some creeps in their own jungle. Just clearing it out, but Team NoNames on the other side, they are playing it very smartly. A little brawl here in the mid lane. But Lighter getting away, but Braum is the one who fought, so Axis down. This might be the team fight, so another shutdown here on Katarina. Ploxy scrambling away to safety. And this is exactly the team fight I was talking about. Divider chasing, Ploxy also falling. Can they get even a fourth one? 3 kills already. And now you have to make something happen. Go for the outer mid turret, and they're on the straight way to grab it. Banderas is in the mid lane, also Magnus coming. But these two might not be enough to hold off all of GameplayDNA. And what a great hook here, Magnus immediately falling down. And so will the tower. And that is a nice comeback that is starting here for GameplayDNA. In terms of kills, we are even now. In terms of gold, just 2k difference between the two teams. With just that one good team fight, GameplayDNA managed to find a way back into the game. Lighter and Axis, I feel like these two, they had been a little bit too uncautious in the mid lane. As we saw, another good entry here by Pulses. Also the hooks, the thresh hooks, they made it happen here for GameplayDNA. And the Baron. Both teams waiting around, and a nice stun here on Pulses, flashing out to safety. Divider also has to be careful. Pulses not quite getting away, and Lighter is still chasing with the help of Axis and Ploxy. But there we go, nice hook. Lighter is still in there all alone. Axis swapping positions, and for now no kills at least. Are they gonna engage the Baron? I feel like you can't go for it here, but we see it on the minimap. The pings are coming in from both teams. Still, Ploxy, Axis, Team NoNames, they don't want to lose vision on that Baron. And in the meanwhile, GameplayDNA, they're just farming around the map. They're just in their own jungles, getting the creeps up for them, and continuing to reduce the gold difference between these two teams. Magnus making his way into his own jungle as well. Now Team NoNames also continuing with the farm here. And for the first match of today, I did not expect it to be that close. GameplayDNA, they're a well-organized esports organization. Team NoNames, Nero has been talking about it. Team NoNames, they even switched some people out of the lineup that they played in. But let's be a little bit on our toes here, as Show McClone was in a little bit of a danger. Another turret falling, so let me continue. GameplayDNA, they're a well-organized esports organization. Team NoNames, they switched out some players, are now competing here in this tournament. But this performance already is more than I would have expected from a team like them. And that just shows that everybody is able to participate and even compete in our LoL battles. Nofer, Divider and Pulses building up a gang in the mid lane. Both teams are spreading out right now, going back to the farm. And taking out some tempo right here. Talking about another look. Oh, Pulses! Maybe with a nice hook, but not quite. But even if he had hit Axis here, I'm not sure if he would have been able to grab the kill. On the other side, we see Banderas fighting off Divider. Divider running for his life. But Banderas has to be careful not to run into a full team of GameplayDNA players. And that's why he is retreating for now. Now once more, NoNames on the way to the Baron. But still not contesting it. They want to force the team fight here, I feel like. They just want to force a good team fight on GameplayDNA. Maybe clear them out by only trading 2 of their own. Go for an ace. Then they could continue and go for that Baron. In the meanwhile, Lighter all alone in the mid lane, and he will fall. But not without a kill. Banderas securing a kill on Rash here. But also have to be careful, we see another flash coming in. Now Victor in for the chase. Magnus is the one being caught. And they're all so clunky. And that means another kill here for Nofer, doing a great job. He's the one that started the comeback. At least that's my opinion, as he did the kill on the bot lane. And that's exactly what I thought Team NoNames were aiming for that one team fight. Maybe grabbing 1 or 2 or grabbing 3 of them, but now they can go for the Baron safely here. And also Nofer going for another kill.
It's gonna be a little bit of a...
Dominating now, and I just hear that Nero is back.
Am I? Okay.
Hopefully everything is gonna work now.
Yeah, hopefully, and hopefully everything's gonna work out.
I can't hear him, so I'm just gonna continue with the commentary.
Both the teams as they try to do the
actually,
road
Team
thing,
NoNames, they made a
DNA,
great job. Because
it's just we're turning later and later into the game.
Even though, yes, I can't hear him, sorry. If Nero is back, I can't hear him.
If we're talking on top of each other, that also isn't quite right. I think, at least.
Yeah, so I think Nero might be back.
Or might not.
Yes,
okay.
Nero, good to have you back.
Oh my goodness, finally. So, yeah, for both the teams, things are getting a little bit sticky right here, because, right, DNA did not have the best start in the game, but just as I thought, as they are kind of a set team that's been together, they're gonna get better the more they'll get the chances to, like, work together, right? And in here, Leader still trying to wreak his havoc, but as I said, if he does not get rolling too much, it's 6-3-1, so it's not bad by any means, but still shows that even in these 1v1s, he will be falling behind the Victor, and Victor can also dominate the team fights very easily. It's not so easy to shut him down. Not sure if all my problems are fixed. Hopefully they are. But yeah, that's going down. DNA just that way they figure out the deficit of the turrets, and that's the thing I was afraid of when I saw that it was the 4-0 in favor of Team NoNames. I already was started thinking that it actually a little bit earlier, so DNA just that way. They made the now they. It's a question: how will they use the Baron? How many structures will they be able to take? And are they going to make a save? Just not make a save, and then lose. (20-15). Already this game turns a little bit bloody, but the previous ones output. The previous games also in qualifiers. And it's maybe they will. Back alone, you're completely blip. 50.
Blue team's
It
turret
out.
has been
Man, just
destroyed.
sitting on hills and and that's why I should have.
There we go. I feel like in the middle of the heat, Dominic lost his connection again, so I'm gonna take over from now, and we're gonna keep it like that. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the late stages of our first game today in the LoL battles. It is GameplayDNA in the base of Team NoNames. And from the start, it did not look like a clear victory here for GameplayDNA, but they are securing it as it looks. Managing to find a way, even though they did not have that good start. Another kill coming in. Bloxy trying his best to still save something here. But also he will fall, and Nofer with pulses continuing to push onto that Nexus. And it will fall definitely. But what a great game here by Team NoNames. I did not expect them to put up so much of a competition, but they managed to do it. So GG to both teams. I'm really impressed by what a good first game we had here. And yeah, we can see Nero, but unfortunately we cannot hear him, as the connection I told you guys. Yeah, I don't know. The production just said it might be okay, it might not be okay, but I'd say we have to go for something clear, as we want to do a good show for you guys. So, shall we do one last try if Nero's connection is stable?
I think that for the pre-game talk and stuff like that, it should be fine, because apparently it breaks down when I start shouting, and that's a bit of a problem since I like to shout when I'm
okay. I know that problem. I know that, Nero. The first time that we started casting together, I had the same problem. I was back in Bavaria, and I was also casting via Skype, and every time I started to get a little bit louder, the connection just broke down. So that's a big problem for a caster if you're passionate about the game and if you want to do something, and if there's a great team fight going on and a lot of action happening, and you have to sit there like, alright guys, now we have a team fight coming in and a double kill and a pentakill, and that's not the way you want to do it, because you want to scream fucking pentakill! And yeah. So I definitely understand you, Nero, but let's hope for the pre-game talk, or like this, the after-game talk. Yeah, I hope it works. So, yeah. Nero, your thoughts on the game? It was an absolute stunner, right?
Yeah, definitely. That big turnaround, and I feel like it happened a little bit too quickly. Because, right, NoNames were building up an advantage right there. They were taking the turrets and stuff like that, taking the skirmishes, finding like singular kills, and it worked out perfectly fine for them. But as I mentioned earlier, when they had the 4-0, I started losing my hopes in GameplayDNA, but that they won one team fight, and it immediately all turned around. Later on, it was
Yes.
sealed off with the Baron take, but overall, it did not seem like NoNames will lose just because of one mistake. It seemed like they still had a buffer of that advantage for themselves. But yeah, everybody started to just lose out when Renekton went for the teleport into the bot lane. I feel like even though that team fight was not bad for them, they got one kill advantage from that. Still, he lost he lost his purpose maybe after that. That's why Riven started picking up more and more and more. And then she was assisting the team a little bit more. Actually, not even just assisting, because she was getting kills out of it, and that way it brought her back. And when, in my opinion, Renekton was the one that was winning the most in the entire game. He was crushing the Riven. He could have dove her under the turret and done any kind of thing he just imagined. But when he started losing, you knew that it was already bad. You saw Katarina leader losing a 1v1 against Domus and stuff like that, even without the help of the turrets. In the bottom lane, even earlier on, when the fighter, when he's just shown his face in the bottom lane, when he's just tossed one single snowball, was enough for the bottom lane to take the kill. He didn't even have to assist more. And yeah, as I wanted to say, right before the last team fight happened, I think that they should have maybe paid a little bit more attention to that Renekton, because I feel like all the success that he's got in the top lane was mostly forced by him himself, or maybe just find a different purpose. But overall, like, engage your jungler a little bit more, because Ploxy, for me, he's not been visible so much. That might have been the major problem in here. But as you mentioned, huge credit to TNN. Overall, definitely a good game. Just figure out something for the mid to late game transition, and it's gonna be perfectly fine for them if they could just seal the deal. I feel like they could still reach up higher.
Yeah, now I really do have high hopes in Team NoNames to make it out of that lower bracket and maybe face off GameplayDNA once more in either the decider match or the grand finals even. So that was right impressive with that aggressive start early on, and they were ahead like a bit more than 5,000 gold, and still GameplayDNA managed to come back. So yeah, credits to GameplayDNA as well. Even though they are the favorite, it's not so self-understandable that they're coming back like that. And yeah, that just rises the hopes for game number 2. That's gonna be Wonderstack and Horizon Reapers, both teams from Hungary. And with such a great game for the start, I'm just wondering what we're gonna get from these two teams, as they might even be some kind of derby opponents.